Welcome to the project Mangrove. This is Uğur. In this video, I'm going to walk you through an example false positive error report. For this, we will be using the Eclipse IDE. The subject application will be H2 database. The subject static code analysis tool will be FindSecBug, and it is a plugin of FindBugs. And FindBugs is a plugin for Eclipse. In the virtual machine you downloaded during the training, you will have FindBugs and Eclipse is ready installed for you. Here we have our subject application H2 database. This number 33 means FindSecBug generated 33 error reports for the code located under this main folder. Now I will take you back to the project website. Here in the Label Error Reports tab, we have list of error reports, and we will be reviewing this one. It is generated for PG server class at line 837. So I copy this PG server class name at Eclipse, Ctrl+Shift+R. I will paste the file name, and there we go. This is the file that we are going to look at. On the right, we see these red marks, which are the positions where FindSecBug generated error report. And this error report says this use of statement execute can be vulnerable to SQL injection. Very simply, in a SQL injection, malicious parties try to manipulate SQL queries to do operations on a database that they normally will not have access to. Alright, in this particular instance, FindSecBug thinks that there is a possibility of having this SQL script coming from untrusted parties, tainted sources. For that, we need to look at where it is defined. It's at this line using reader read statement method. So we need to look at this reader object, which is an instance of script reader, which takes a parameter R. So this R is an input stream reader, which is reading this PG catalog SQL script. Again, Ctrl+Shift+R. We see this SQL script under source main directory, and it is a part of project code. It is basically developed by developers. So here we can assume malicious parties cannot modify this source. If malicious parties can manipulate this source, it is another vulnerability in the system other than SQL injection. Alright, with that assumption, this reader is a safe object. Therefore, we need to look at what's happening this script reader method. Here we assign the reader to the class field reader, and we initialize buffer to be the size of this integer. Yeah. So in terms of SQL injection, this piece of code is safe. Turning back here, therefore this reader object is safe. However, we still need to look at what's happening in this read statement method. If it is end of file, we return null, otherwise we call this read statement loop. In this method, there is lots of things are happening. So we see there is a character by character check, and at the end of this file, we have this method, we have a new string is created using this buffer character and these other three integer parameters. So again, integer parameters are not a medium for SQL injection, but character buffer is. But we know this character buffer was initialized in the constructor, but nevertheless we need to still look at this code piece to make sure that this buffer is never getting a value from any other untrusted sources. Alright, for that we need to look at the methods that are called in here, starting with this read. This read is returning an index of the buffer or returning this read buffer method. Going inside this read buffer method, we are initializing the buffer to this source, and then we are copying what is inside the source back to the buffer array. Again, we don't have to understand every details of the code. What we need to be looking at is any input from untrusted sources. So here, for example, this piece of code does not refer to any untrusted sources. For example, there is this call to this method, but we know this array copy method is a safe place. We will not ask for any input from any malicious parties. It's going to use this source character array and copy the value of the source character array to this destination array, starting from these positions and for this length. All right, this piece of code does not get any input from malicious places, or outsiders. Therefore, we can assume that this piece of code is not creating any threat either. Nevertheless, this read statement is returning us a statement from this SQL script. Therefore, this SQL injection error report is a false positive. Again, that's because the statements that we execute are stored in this SQL script file, and assuming that this SQL script file is not reachable or manipulatable by malicious parties, there is no possibility of SQL vulnerability. Now, to put my review into the mangrove system, I will click on here and say, no, this is not a real vulnerability in code. All right, a good explanation for this kind of finding will be the SQL string used in the execute method call is not coming from outside users. There is a script reader which reads the statements from an SQL script file which is under the project source folder. Therefore, unless there is another vulnerability allowing malicious parties to write into this SQL script, there is no possibility of SQL injection. So this error report is a false positive. And then I will enter the minutes that I spent labeling this error report, and then I will click on submit label. That's it. We have completed one error report review, which was a false positive. That's basically it. Thank you very much for listening.